All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something pretty wild. It's a literary experiment from a collection called the Spectral Architectures, and its whole goal is to smash together the minds of famous thinkers to create entirely new and often terrifying ways of telling a story. So let's just jump right in with the core question here, and it's a weird one. What happens when you take two totally different minds, say a philosopher and a horror writer, and you don't just compare them, you collide them. You fuse them into something that has never existed before. The term they use for this is literary superposition. Now, you've got to get this. This isn't about an author trying to sound like someone else. No, this is way deeper. It's about a radical synthesis, creating a new narrator that could only exist in that strange conceptual space between two other minds. Okay, so how does this actually work? I mean, what's the process here? To really get what's going on, we need to look under the hood. It's kind of like an intellectual alchemy, and the best way to understand it is to just see it in action. Our first case study is a fantastic example of just how weird and powerful this can get. We're going to take a super dense German philosopher and slam him into the undisputed master of cosmic horror. So yeah, buckle up. So on one hand, you've got Martin Heidegger, right? The philosopher who's completely obsessed with the fundamental nature of being, our place in the world. And on the other hand, H.P. Lovecraft, a guy who was obsessed with beings from outside our world that basically prove our existence is a joke. We're talking two totally different flavors of existential dread here. So when you mash these two together, what do you even get? What does that sound like? Well, it grabs Heidegger's famous idea of being toward death, the concept that our lives are defined by the fact that they end, and it just warps it through this insane Lovecraftian filter. And the result? Oh, it is so much worse than just dying. And this quote, wow, it just nails the fusion perfectly. You can literally hear Heidegger's philosophical vibe, the shepherds of being, but it's been twisted into this pure cosmic horror. We're not the guardians of existence anymore. Nope, we're just livestock, waiting for something ancient and awful to finish its meal. It completely flips the script on humanity's place in the cosmos. And get this new combined voice completely rewires one of philosophy's biggest questions. It's not this abstract, why is there something rather than nothing anymore? Now it's this urgent, terrifying question, why is there this reality instead of that thing that's waiting just outside? It's like injecting pure cosmic horror straight into the veins of existential philosophy. And the really cool thing is, this isn't just a one-trick pony. This whole method is like an engine for creating new realities. You can plug in different thinkers and get completely different results. New physics, new societies, whole new ways of seeing. Let's look at a few more combos. All right, next up, fusion number 2. What do you get when you mix Simone Weil, a philosopher who was all about spiritual suffering in grace, with Franz Kafka, the absolute master of the soul-crushing, nonsensical bureaucracy? What kind of universe does that collision create? Their creation, this new narrator comes up with this: oppression is gravity misunderstood. Just think about that for a second. In this world, suffering isn't a mistake. It's not an injustice you can fight. It's a fundamental law of physics, just like gravity. Your pain is just you failing to understand the basic forces that are holding you in your place. That is a truly horrifying thought. Okay, so from a universe where pain is physics, let's jump to one where reality itself is completely falling apart. For our third fusion, we're combining Jean Baudrillard, the high theorist of simulation and copies, with Philip K. Dick, the sci-fi genius who basically made a career out of asking, is any of this even real? I mean, come on, this is a match made in paranoid heaven. And their combined voice is just dripping with paranoia. In this world, the line between what's real and what's a copy, between human and machine, it's just gone. The only real crime, the only dangerous thing you can be, is a fundamentalist. Someone who's naive enough to still believe there's a real difference. It's the perfect synthesis of both of their worst fears. So if reality can be dismantled, what about power? What about politics? For our last example, we're fusing Hannah Arendt, the political theorist who diagnosed the banality of evil, with George Orwell, the novelist who gave totalitarianism its modern vocabulary. This one gets to the very root of how you control a population. And this new voice explains something absolutely chilling. The ultimate form of power isn't just punishing people for thinking the wrong thing. That's old news. The real innovation is to make evil literally unthinkable. You do it by just removing the words you need to even form the concept. You can't fight for freedom if you don't even have a word for it. It's not just thought crime, it's thought impossibility. So, what's the big deal here? This is more than just a really clever writing prompt, right? The whole point is that this is actually a powerful blueprint for creativity itself. It's a way to spark genuine, out-of-the-box innovation. And you can actually break this down into a 3-step process that really you could use for anything. First, you take two totally different ideas and you isolate their core concepts. Second, you look for the interference pattern, and that's the cool part. It's where they clash or overlap or weirdly connect. And finally, out of that collision, you build something completely new, an idea that couldn't have existed otherwise.
And that really is the big takeaway from this whole explainer. Real breakthrough innovation so often doesn't come from a blank slate. It comes from smashing things together that aren't supposed to go together. The magic is in the friction, in that weird, unexpected overlap. It's a method you can use to basically shock your own brain out of its usual patterns and see the world in a completely new way.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. If you could run this experiment yourself, what two minds would you fuse together? A musician and an architect? A biologist and a poet? What impossible combination could unlock a new way of thinking for you?